So innovation and the next normal. What does this mean? What type of impact did COVID-19 as an accelerator actually in the recent months for the development and implementation of innovative applications? What effects do we see in different industries? And well, Christian kindly shared the two pictures with us. Just a quick question, and you please feel free to post it in the chat. Do you know which pictures these are?
Yeah, what is the occasion?
Do you guess? What did happen in 2005 and 2013? It's not a concert, I have to say.
Selected. It was the Pope. I don't know how you call it when you have a new Pope.
It's a,
yeah.
I would call it Pope selection.
Yes, or election or whatever.
The name is different in English, but I don't know it.
Exactly, but it's a Pope selection. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting, right? Within 8 years, how the image has changed from being analog at in Rome in front of the St. Peter's Dome, standing there, everyone looking at the chimney, okay, which smoke is going to appear, and just seeing it. Probably, I mean, yeah, definitely. Many people had cell phones. They have called their loved ones, their friends, family, and said, "Oh, we still don't have any Pope," right? But what happened in 2013? Everyone was there. It's actually like it looks like torches almost everywhere, right? Filming and seeing what's happening and getting these vibes there. And in preparation of this meeting, of this panel, actually, we thought, okay, but what we are now in 2020. What does digitalization or digitization mean? How would probably the next Pope election look like, right? Would people still stand in there, be outside in the rain, or would it be rather any sort of virtual happening like we do today with our Innovation Day and have it done via video conferencing? Would all those bishops have to fly into Rome and to do their election, or can they also dial in from wherever they are in the world, right? So I think it's interesting to that we think about what is digitalization and innovation. How does this fit together? When do we actually consider an innovation, or what do we consider as an innovation? And also, what is the role of diversity that comes with innovation? And I'm also, after this session, we're going to have a quick break where we will continue to talk around the Net for Tech offerings for you. And one of those topics will be around the Business Creathon, which is our diversity hackathon with the aim actually to find a profitable way for diversity and in order to drive innovation in the companies. And there's one of the strong beliefs that we have in Net for Tech, that with a group of people with different backgrounds, different ethnicities, we can actually create something more and create something innovative. And I'm looking forward now to the panel and what we come up with as innovation. I would also like to share with you like a little joke, and we also discussed this prior to this. What do you think, or probably you've seen it in the past as well, who led your digital transformation in your companies? So was it A, the CEO? Was it B, the CIO? Or was it C, who can guess what C is? And please feel free to put it in the chat. So who led your digital transformation? The CEO, the CIO, or an external factor? Yeah, exactly. COVID-19, our dear friend. So a pandemic, of course, I mean, on one hand, it has a lot of cruelty and disadvantages for many people, but also depending on from which view you see it, it could also have, to a certain extent, an an opportunity or an advantage. And that's like one of the viewpoints that we see. Every crisis comes also with an opportunity to create something new. Alrighty. So now I'm actually really happy to present you the panel a little bit more in detail. So I'm not going to be the only host. I have my dear colleague Christian as the co-host acting today as well. And who is Christian Schmidt actually, if you might wonder? So he has like throughout the day, you've heard him a few times. He actually is an expert in systemic leadership, coaching, and team building. His experiences results from more than a decade of working and leading in the IT industry. But nowadays, he works with leaders and organizations who want to develop their people skills and their productive capabilities to the fullest. So thank you, Christian, for being my co-host today, and we'll pass you over the word to you now.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Julia. And yeah, before we start introducing our wonderful panel speaker, just another short word about you, because it's great to have you here, and you did this great introduction. And obviously, you're a young female leader, and what people should know, you've been nominated for the Rising Star Award in 2020, which is the Varsity in Tesh. It's called, formerly known Women in Tesh, Ireland. And yeah, in your professional life, when you're not working for Net4 Tech, you have stepped up in your career to lead an international team of highly skilled technical consultants in Microsoft Consulting Services. And you're driving the digitalization of the enterprise customers in UK and Western Europe. And you just include technologies like Microsoft Teams, SharePoint, Office 365 to make the teams and the customers more productive. And yeah, that's your time, I would say, right? Now all the tools you're creating and you're fostering with your team are on the spot, and everybody uses them and needs them. Now that's great to have you here. At the same time, we are very, very happy to have 5 very interesting people who can give us a lot of insights and their point of views on the digitalization and how everything changed with COVID. And yeah, I would like to start with Thomas and hand over to Julia to introduce him.
Yes, great, thank you. Exactly, so we have Thomas Mueller among one of the panelists. Thomas is a managing director and co-founder of EVAN Limited and a spokesperson for the EVAN network organization. With his extensive experience in business and IT, it is his mission to establish EVAN Network on the market as a cooperation platform for the economy of tomorrow. So EVAN Network creates both the technical and the legal framework for the future of decentralized market economy based on blockchain technology. And in addition, Thomas is also a speaker, author, and expert in the field of decentralized technologies, blockchain for business, and digital business. Thank you for being here today with us, Thomas.
Thank you too.
Great. Thank you, Thomas. So I will continue with Susan. I have to find her in the gallery view to put her in the spotlight. Is it working? Yeah, it is. So
Yes.
Dr. Susan Wegner, I'm very happy to have you here. In your professional life at Lufthansa Industry Solutions, you're responsible for artificial intelligence and data analysis. And in that you have more than 15 years of experience, especially in the areas of machine learning, artificial intelligence, and platform and software design. And in addition, you've been a founder, CEO, and chairman and member of the advisory board of a subsidiary of the Deutsche Telekom Group. Furthermore, you're a member of the European Commission's expert group for business to government data sharing. Very important topic these days, I guess. Business to government data sharing.
Yes.
And from study-wise, you've been a computer scientist and mathematician, and you studied in Berlin and North Carolina, USA. And you had the privilege to be an early user of the artificial intelligence, and that's even got you a doctor degree. So you're right on the spot.
Excellent.
Happy to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction, and I'm very excited to be on that panel.
That's cool. Great. Thank you. So let me try to find the next one for the spotlight.
Exactly. So our next panelist is Nahia Orduña. She's a senior manager for analytics and digital integration at Vodafone, and also she's a Network role model. In addition, she actually also led one of our virtual morning sessions. Yeah, we see her many times here. She's always a very welcome guest in Network. She has over 15 years of experience in IT and tech companies, and she also wrote a book of Your Digital Reinvention, which I highly recommend to read. It's a practical guide for people who are looking for new opportunities in their professional life and digital world. Because for Nahia, innovation is always about the opportunities that arise. Thank you for being here today with us.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you. Welcome. So, did we lose Simone? I thought I had her already here, but she is. Simone, can you speak up? When you're there. Yeah, here you are. Sorry for that. Yeah, we are lucky to have a lot of participants, so I have to scroll a lot to find the right people to put in the spotlight. But here you are. Wonderful. Simone, you're a modern work consultant at Microsoft, and your focus is teamwork and workplace analytics. And you support your customers in breaking new ground of teamwork and collaboration, and drive together with them the transformation of their customers by enabling them to act agilely and using database knowledge to shape the work environment. And again, I think that's right on the spot, the topic which we have today, because the people are so distributed, and it's very interesting to get your insights on how to use this database knowledge and to make, to help the employees and even to sharpen the customer orientation. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So great to have you here.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
So
great. And then last but not least, we have Nancy Nemes as fulfilling the top five of our panelists today. Nancy is a business and digital Darwinist, bringing enthusiasm and vigor to people and companies through effective leadership, commercial and operational management accuracy, and ambition for the greater social cause. She's the founder and general manager for the digital startup Nemes Ventures. And prior to this, she has worked in several tech companies like Microsoft and Google with a strong major in artificial intelligence. Now she acts as advisor and board member for various organizations. And yeah, we are very happy to have you on board. Hello, Nancy.
Hey, hello everyone. Thanks for having me. Great to see this wonderful group.
Great. Lovely, guys. Great to have you here. And let's just start right away. I suggest for the participants that you go in the speaker view, so you will immediately see the person who speaks in the big frame, and you don't have to wait for Christian to find the right person to put in the spotlight. And it usually works quite good. So yeah, Julia did this great introduction where we've seen how the world changes, how we started just by the picture of the Pope election, seeing 15 years from now in the history, no smartphones, no iPhone at all. Only 7 years later, the whole world is watching this event through the screen of the mobile phone, and they're not using their eyes anymore directly. And yeah, most likely, if these days we should elect a new Pope, it will happen via Zoom meeting. Not even standing there holding up the camera, just sitting at home and holding up, looking in the camera. So world is changing quickly, more and more quickly over the time. And the leading questions are, how does Corona act as this accelerator on top of we already have seen as speed? And what effects do we see? And I would like to open the discussion round just to turn to Susan. And I'm really curious because we are seeing a lot of issues following the path of the infections, of the incidents. What do you think? how much can artificial intelligence and data science support us here, and what is happening in the background?
Yeah. What you can see is, and it's not only in this direction. It is really, you see it everywhere. You see it in every direction, and especially during the last days when we saw that we have some announcement concerning like a serum, stuff like that. If you think about it, in former times, you needed a lot of time to develop something like that. And now you have the possibility really to, with AI, to really have connections between treatment and effect. You have it in the bioinformatics, where you can really develop things before, and that it's speeding up the serum more than in former times. That's just one thing. The other thing is, if you look at all the information we have in the internet, as a human, it's nearly impossible to get all the information. And here with natural language processing, you can really do it like in seconds, put everything together, get diagrams we can understand as humans, and really select the information that might be relevant, or see really connection between different countries, between whatever. We are not able, so you see it there. And then the social distancing, we have, like, for example, we did it for beaches in Germany, but you can see it in all other areas. If you go shopping and so on, so you really see it everywhere. Nancy might add some examples because we had that topic on another event, and she initiated that, so she might give some other examples.
Yeah, no, happy to do that, yes. Well, so basically, first of all, here's I don't know, you want me to talk, Christian, or should we?
Yes, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, so first of all, basically, what is a pandemic, right? At the end of the day, we are all so surprised about this, but it happened so many times in the human history, right? And so when you think about it, really, this is just an unforeseen event, and the famous black swans, right, which we have heard about. And so when you connect that with innovation, and artificial intelligence is supposed to drive that innovation, even though we work on it for 70 years now. It's nothing new, just for this group. AI is not really something we just invented. It's been developed for many, many years already. We just happen to use this name now, and we'll talk about that later, the name of artificial intelligence. But to your point, so first of all, how do you respond to unforeseen events, unforeseeable events, or unforeseen events? There is some semantic there. So, when you think about innovation and you think about AI, being willing to know and understand how to think and act differently, that's what drives success. And to the point Susan was making, we actually had indeed a conversation just a few weeks ago about how data is being processed right now. And we had a data scientist who is very, very famous here in Germany. Her name is Katharina Schüller, who was just coming out of a meeting with Chancellor Merkel. I think this was on the 28th of September. I'm giving you this date because it's interesting. It's been like 6 weeks ago. And Katharina came into my conference, which was called Humanize, saying, I just get bombarded by calls by government officials asking us, data scientists and statisticians, to basically predict what will happen with these numbers. And Chancellor Merkel just said we have 19,000 daily incidences by November, December. And I was just laughing about this, Katharina said, because we really don't know, right? So it's very hard to predict all these things because these are pretty much unforeseen. We don't have enough of the baseline data. So this is a bit of the, not the very positive story. So what's critical here, the way to use data to foresee and solve challenges and to respond to unprecedented events and to these external crises in very different ways, and to transform that into creative and innovative solutions that people will need and will like. And so we're not there today. You can see that the data we get through the media, there are websites where you can get a lot more detailed data, but the data we see through the media right now is not amazing. I'm glad we have the Corona app here in Germany. I can tell you a small country like Lithuania had a Corona app back in March already. So how is AI driving that? So I remember very clearly we did a series which I used to call in March and April. I used to call that series, and I see Susan was speaking on that. And the series was called Friday Facts, the time post-Corona, because I was really hoping that this time is going a little bit faster. So, and I remember when we talk about, we need to track these things. We have the data, we have the technology, we have the hardware, we have the software to do that. So that's basically the focus on getting the value out of the data we have today. So just to add on to Susan's point. And make it short, because I can go on and on.
I want to say that I like very much the point about the natural language processing, because I'm really thinking that now we have to put the data closer to the people, and the best way to do that is with NLP techniques and so on.
I didn't hear you.
Yeah, we're losing her a little bit.
Yeah,
She's frozen, yeah.
So,
Okay.
Now her screen looks looks like, let's give her some time to restart for now. So for that's a general question for the panelists. Do you already know a specific ongoing activity then in the industry in order to control this data, or to have any type of innovation other than the Corona app that many governments have introduced now?
Yeah, well, I guess, look, I mean, I'm looking at this in two ways, right? You look at the technology aspect, and then you have huge amounts of ideas and innovation, and you'll see a lot more startups coming up specifically out of this crisis. It's always like that with crisis. You see innovation coming up. So from a technological point of view, a lot more, I think 75% of the C-levels worldwide who have been surveyed lately, I believe by either Accenture, sorry, don't quote me, but one of the big consultancies, 75% of these people said they will accelerate innovation and investment into what we call AI, specifically into really making sure they have the right amount of data. Most importantly, they have the right quality of data. So that's the technical aspect. And then you'll see a plethora of things, right? You'll see, of course, robotics happening more, because there will be a lot more need for delivering quick solutions through automatized processes. That's one. The other one, you will see big data projects, you will see quantum computing accelerating as well. You will see a lot more science, physics, mechanics, cognitive services that are getting into this mix. So that would be the technical aspect. I also believe you will see more of the human aspects. So the purpose of innovation really for me is that we come up with new ideas, and these new technologies should increase our productivity, should drive more output with the same input. So that's the whole thing about innovation for me, is drive more output with the same amount of input. And so that means, what are the problems that AI can solve? There are so many, including even finding the right cure, finding the right, the pharma industry, as you can see, is investing huge amounts into AI these days. But also, I think it's going to be an important aspect to look at the soft skills that people will need as well, soft areas in human aspects of the technology. So not just looking at the technology aspects, but also what makes that with us humans, and what kind of skills and needs do we have in future. I think that's one topic you might raise later, but I believe these go together. So looking from an engineering point of view, which is basically what you have, but then what's the hybrid collaboration we need to establish between engineers and other disciplines in order to come up with real new innovation and not just, you know, small steps. We need quantum leap innovation, and we do have the right infrastructure, we do have the right hardware now to be able to deliver that. You know, I don't know if you've seen lately the first what we call here in Germany flying taxi. So there is a car that can actually fly that costs about $600,000 that was just approved to be used in Amsterdam. And you may know that in Amsterdam they are using Tesla electric cars as taxis for many, many years already. So you will see some countries that are adopting faster. I am concerned about Germany, to be honest. I'm a little bit concerned about Europe, but I'm concerned that in Germany we're a little bit slow-ish. But I also think that there will be a big step forward now because people get more aware, and hopefully the right amount of investments will be proposed, just what you see happening now with BioNTech. So I think we will see more coming up next year.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for this insights. Nahia made it back to the session. And
I'm sorry. I was talking and suddenly I saw all the faces frozen looking at me, and I thought, oh no, this is not.
Oh, so Nancy was just helping us out while you've been offline about the question. What are the necessary steps and areas we have to look at? And maybe to build on that question, Nahia, what do you think, which technical areas will have greater demand after the Corona crisis? And what kind of jobs do we find there in the digital area?
Yeah, well, the first point I wanted to make the point that just happened to me, how essential is the connectivity, like more than ever. We need to be contact, no matter how, like it's an enabler. All that we are talking, it wouldn't matter if we have like a strong network, right? And then in this network, we can leverage. Now with this, we have found new ways of communicating and collaborating. That's why there are new tools for like around unified communications and collaborations. It's not longer a showstopper if we cannot meet in a room. They're having like new ways of collaborating and so on. I think like one thing that we need really, and it's also like here in Net4Tech Innovation Day, very, very relevant, is to shorten the gap of digital inclusivity. So we need innovation, so we need new ideas, people thinking differently. And even in like first world economies, there is still a big digital gap. Like there are like less parts of the populations that are not as active and they don't have the digital tools. So in that sense, I think that we should like make efforts to include more talent in digital professions. Additionally, like the World Economic Forum just released like 1 month ago the new Future of Jobs report and predicts that there are going to be like, I think like 97 million new jobs in digital areas. Microsoft has also released this summer another report where they think there's going to be like, I think 149 million jobs in cloud computing, AI, privacy, security. So there is like a talent gap there, and this will really definitely like bringing people into digital professions and helping the people and getting more inclusive will definitely help to boost that innovation.
Absolutely, yeah, we are definitely looking into a big gap of talents to our sessions, and yeah, and what Nancy just said, it's the thing is about being slow and being quick. Always has to do when it comes to skills. It's always a long-term thing. You have to attract the right people to the new topics, and I've been last weekend. I've been on a conference of the Panda partner organization of the Net4Tech, and there was this lady Julia Freudenberg from the Hacker School, and she's trying to attract girls to be a hacker. to go in the software industry. And I totally agree what you said. It's the question: where do we get the people who have the skills? How do we attract them?
I have to say, I think it's two ways. Like first, like we need like young talent that they go for technical careers because they are going to have much more opportunities and better rewarded, and it's needed the talent. But I also am a believer that anybody, no matter their age or the background, they can get more digital. You can have like a lot of knowledge about finance or about marketing, about HR, and if you go and see what happens in the digital area of marketing, HR, or finance, you will get better opportunities in your area. So not everybody needs to be like in the cloud computing, but also getting just more digital in your areas, you will be able to get like more innovation in your area and better opportunities. And for that, there are many trainings and learnings in internet courses that you can do, and you can like really find a new digital direction in a matter of like 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think these times it's much more important to be have a growth mindset rather than being a know-it-all from the get-go. Because I think with the digitalization, everything's constantly changing. It's much more important to be able to kind of adapt to this constant change, and it kind of have your way of keeping up with updates and what's new in the market. Which is much more important to have a high base set of skills, because you can learn a lot by, as Nahia said, doing various kinds of training that is available in the terms of digital knowledge.
Yeah, I totally agree. I always hired my people that they have like the basic knowledge. You need some really the background, a technical background if you are in an area like me in computer science or so. But I'm not looking if someone is really doing exactly that or that, because it's changed every year. So for me, it was always more essential to really ask if someone is like open, have an open mindset, open to, and have the basic skills to learn another thing. What should I do with, at the moment, you still need COBOL, and they're paying a lot for COBOL.
You really do,
so
yeah.
You have a COBOL developer, and then what will you do if no COBOL were left? Then he has to change, and normally it changed every year, and it's so essential that you have this open mindset.
Yeah, totally. I love that. And I a really great quote also, because Microsoft's CEO, Satya Nadella, is talking about, having a growth mindset, not being a know-it-all. So that was a great point you made. But basically, if you look at the skills of the future, right? I know, and we work with companies that are now investing billions of dollars, because it's always the US who is leading in this thing. In reskilling, in upskilling, in skilling in general, because the reality is, the very simple reality is that the demand for physical and manual skills has been already declining in the past 15 to 20 years. It will decline further with the arrival of more automation. And this is why, to your point, soft skills are important. And that's where organizations should focus on. And the three that I always suggest are: number one, critical thinking; number two, creativity; and number three, leadership. These three skills, and if you look, as Susan said, hire your people based on soft skills, not just hard skills, because they will change. And of course, in AI, you still need to have the tech skills. Of course, someone like Susan with math and data science, or with statistics, probability predictions, all that stuff will be absolutely necessary. We'll still need people with that. We still need science people. We need physics and mechanics and cognitive sciences and all that. We need language processing. We need those skills, right? We need computer science. But very clearly, if we don't have the focus on the human side of it, we will not be able, because more and more these things will be automated. And also the other thing is, you can make really good money in these industries, in the emerging industries, if you can solve problems in a human way. We know that machines cannot solve problems in a human way. So they can solve it in a machine way, right? And so the problems that AI will solve for us in future are not easy problems, right? And so to work in this AI industry, which will definitely be the industry for future, it will boom, and we need more women. So I very much hope this group here is starting to look into the possibilities for that area. But the good news is really, as we live in this society, where a lot of people would rather have a robot as a boss. There was also numbers saying that many people prefer a robot as a boss because they hope that that robot will have a different interaction with them as a human being. I think we would rather be led by machines. That's what human beings are saying, because it's easy for humans to manage a machine than to manage another human, right? So I guess there is so much to say about this topic. I would say really what's important in terms of skills, just to close this, is critical thinking, as you said, really be pushy in what you want to achieve in that area, push the boundaries. I know science fiction is, you know, we love it. And because of science fiction, we have a bit of a distorted picture of artificial intelligence and what it can really deliver. But, you know, letting your creativity, your human creativity flow, you know, and always looking for more. That's how we drive innovation, and also more ways to improve these existing systems, right? So more ideas, inventing new ways of living, you know, that's what you see coming out of Silicon Valley a lot, is innovation, while other areas in this world, so Europe, in my opinion, is very strong in academic research, and China, of course, is very strong in, you know, creating after someone has innovated, creating scale, driving scale after innovation has already happened. And so I also believe the last one would be for me really being extremely resilient. Don't getting easily overwhelmed. AI can drive you crazy. Algorithms can drive you crazy, machines and all of that when they don't function, or, you know, but in order to understand AI, which is highly technical area, you know, you just jump into this cold water. And to your point about girls, we need more girls, we need more women, we know that. What's important really is to show them the real picture and what they can achieve, and that you don't need necessarily to always code. So we have examples here of people making careers without coding. I don't know how to code. I did code a few times in my life out of curiosity, you know, but I'm more of a marketing and salesperson and someone connecting with people. And so other people love to sit there and see the creation of their brain right away. You know, my creation you can see later, not right away. So yeah, I think resilience is also an important thing to look as you build talent or as you hire talent, or for yourself as you try to get more skills.
Absolutely. And as you said, it's most of the time not easy to foresee which technical innovation comes up the roads. And that's a good lead to Thomas, because Thomas, your company is going into the blockchain, and I guess you haven't had any lectures about blockchain in the university, right? Did you?
No, I'm too old for that. Right, and it was a very great discussion until now, and I completely agree to all these arguments. And the skill topic especially is also a topic we see every day, and especially in Germany, but also I think this is relevant for the whole European market. There are a lot of smaller companies, mid-sized companies, and on the one side and on the other side we have technologies like blockchain, AI, and all the things which came up in the recent time. And there is, from my point of view, a huge gap between these two, I call it realities. The reality of the day-to-day business of let's call it mid-sized companies, and the technology innovation area. And what we see is that it's really hard to adopt these technologies in the day-to-day life of a mid-sized company. And we have a lot of mid-sized company in Europe, and this is maybe a problem that there is so few technology adoption, especially in Europe, and that all this innovation is realized. We have academic research in Europe, and the realization and the business benefits are mostly in US. And this is, from my point of view, a big problem in the future. And what, from my perspective, and I do not want to talk about blockchain blockchain that much because blockchain and AI, they have the same problem. Explain it to a mid-sized company and bring a decision to use this technology into their day-to-day life. This is a big issue. And from my point of view, there are some things that needs to be changed. The skill topic, this is one thing, so that any company includes, if it's an industrial manufacturing company, then they need technology, they need IT skills within their company. It cannot be outsourced. It's the core business. It's a part of their core business. Yeah, they can use consulting services. That's fair enough. But in their core, they have to decide things with an technology mindset. And this is important to integrate technology competencies in every company and the DNA of every company. And this is what we doesn't have today. This is not the reality of especially the mid-sized companies. This isn't the case. And on the other side, you need a lot of budget, a lot of money to use these technologies, AI, blockchain, and all these fancy things to integrate this into your day-to-day life. And for that, I think this is not, that cannot be achieved in most cases by a single company on their own. And therefore, we think that in the future, to be successful, it's necessary to think more about models like co-opetition, where some things are developed by a group of companies so that they can use the technology infrastructure to improve their cooperation, for instance, to use this innovation for themselves without being dependent to a US company, for instance, which provides this technology as a business service at the end, and to bring such technologies into their industry in place, and then use it to compete on the market, but co-develop things and integrate this into their industry. This is from my point of view a really important thing, and this requires both things, the skills topics and also this co-opetition thing requires a change in their thinking how to handle this technology problem we have today.
So sorry, Simone.
Sorry. All right. Yeah, you made some interesting points, Thomas. I think innovation doesn't necessarily have to be a big change all of the time. Small steps lead to big changes as well as they accumulate. So I think what innovation is kind of depending on where you're looking at and what standpoint you're referring to. So for a mid-sized company, as you named it, innovation might be something else as for a big-sized company, but this can still be innovation nonetheless. And for example, for a mid-sized company, looking at how people work and kind of optimizing business processes can be a part of innovation and doing things more effectively and reaching business goals and moving on from there on. So I think there is like different aspects to the question.
Yeah, yes and no, but I think what we see or what we saw in the recent time and what we see now in the pandemic much more relevant is that if you are not able to include these innovative technologies into your day-to-day business processes, you will be lost. Yeah, and the gap between the companies who are able to integrate, for instance, AI technology to automate their decision making, to be faster in response to market changes, supply chain resilience, and so on and so on. The gap of these companies to the companies who are not able to do this will be, yes, broader, will be and it will be harder for these companies who are not able to do this to compete on the market. And that's why I think we will see if the development will go on in the way we see it today. From my point of view, I think we will see a more shift of power to the companies who are able to solve this digital problem. And what the reality is that many of the, especially mid-sized companies, haven't realized that they have a problem, and this is I think this is a change of mind, and you have to realize this. And And therefore, maybe it's also important that technology companies explain the things like AI, blockchain, and so on, more concrete in the context of a business problem, because this is what we learned from our own go-to-market things is when you talk about blockchain, and I think the same is for AI, to an normal business decision maker, then it's really hard to explain the benefits of this technology for their business in words where you can make a decision on. And that's why I think we also from the technology point of view, we need another way of talking about technology things, not so high level, but more concrete. What can be changed with this technology? And then maybe it's easier to integrate this.
Exactly, and not pushing the button of the fear, which Susan has stated that we look at the science fiction movies and we are afraid of it. Thomas, there was this question here in the chat from Eliza. What are the reasons that a lot of companies are not able to change and integrate the new technology? So what do they miss? What is wrong with their DNA?
I think there is not an easy, from my point of view, this is my opinion, this is not an easy answer, or there is not an easy answer to this question. It's a very good question. I think there are two things. The ones who can make decisions are not able to, this is what I mean in my last statement, they are not able to realize what the technology, when you talk about AI, then we all have some things in mind, what AI can do, what AI can improve. But this is not the case for many business decision makers who do not know what exactly AI can bring for their business, and they think in timeframes of months and a few years and not in decades. And this is maybe one problem. And the other problem is this skill problem that you need to transfer things like AI or blockchain into your business reality. And if you rely only on external partners, consultants, and so on, then there is a lot of effort necessary to do this. So you need this the same as you need an accountant in your team when you are a manufacturer. This is not your core business. You need the technology skills in your team to make these small steps real without that you spend a lot of projects and a lot of project effort. You need to do this on a day-to-day basis within your enterprise, within your business.
Yeah, so a very good thing, and easy for tech companies like Microsoft and Google, right? But now I'm curious, because they have the tech DNA insights right from the beginning. The first guy who started the thing was a hacker, so that's a good start. But I'm just curious, Susan, how is it in the Lufthansa industry?
I can just
how much pain?
Because it was the same with my former employee, and my lessons learned is it always have to come from the business, and you have to start with small things where you have a relatively quick business impact. And not talking about, like Thomas said, not talking about AI and not talking about blockchain or whatever, because you're solving a business problem. And the business problem you're solving is the technology, but you have to really come from the customer, and your internal people are your customer in that way, and not driving it from IT. Because what I saw at the beginning when AI came up, again, I must say, is that it was driven from IT, and that's very problematic because you can really have efficiencies within IT, but if you really want to have a driver and see it from the major management, you need the business behind you. And then you start with the small things. For AI, I always say, like, the use cases and the architecture are the shiny things, and then you have the guys in the background, like the data governance and the culture. You're not able to start with that. Some companies do that, but start with shiny things where you can say, here, the business head, KPI, whatever. and then you can come to the groundwork. That's for me my lessons learned in both industries.
Mhm.
Great.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you
agree
for your
on that.
insights. Sorry, Christian. I was also wondering, by speaking about it, I was quite curious. And I mean, on one hand, of course, I know what Simone is doing because I have similar team colleagues, actually. On the other hand, I think actually for the big audience here, maybe you can share a bit your insights as a consultant for modern work. How has this changed now with COVID coming up? What do your customers see? Is it really kind of Microsoft pushing out kind of the latest trends in technology? So in what way can you respond actually to the needs?
Right. So one of the main themes I have seen, or the main concepts, are kind of like how companies can maintain business continuity in this current time of disruption and this kind of shift to remote work. And, you know, it's also part of if this shift is even possible. I mean, obviously in some industry, it may be more a matter of, you know, kind of reducing that direct personal contact through finding smart solutions. And we had a little bit of that topic earlier as well around creativity. And this is really something I love to see currently in this situation, that despite all the challenges that we all have, and obviously the drawbacks of the situation as it is, what shines really bright to me personally is the creativity you see in people to find and create solutions currently. To solve whatever needs to be solved in this situation. But, you know, kind of going back, a big part of kind of navigating the current situation is, first of all, kind of understanding what's happening within the company, what are the pain points, and we can really do that through data-driven insights, and one way could be workplace analytics, and I think that's what you were referring to. So an important part is kind of understanding how has the business been running before, and is business running as usual during this current time, or is anything being disrupted? How is it looking for the employees? How they are adapting to the situation? I mean, we all have, of course, personal challenges that kind of tie in together with the workplace in the current situation and might lead to disruption. And, you know, another part might be to look at if employees are being able to kind of stay connected and being engaged, and overall, you know, kind of reduce that risk of isolation when being behind a screen all the time. So important factor overall is, as was mentioned before, kind of this business focus in looking at what's going on and using this insights to kind of take action and improve from then on, and not in the first place have solutions in mind, but rather start with what do I want to achieve, or what's the pain point, and then go to on how could that be solved. And maybe just to give one concrete example on this, an important part about like kind of minimizing disruption in the current times, which also has been like mentioned a little bit before, is kind of ensuring this engagement and connectivity between us all, which is obviously a really big factor. It was mentioned before how it would be to have a robot as a manager, and I think especially the current times show that human interaction is so important to all of us, and especially also our well-being overall, and well-being then kind of leading over to how engaged you are and how motivated you are to kind of to also do well within the workplace. So kind of a big factor that I have been seeing is, of course, enabling remote communication and collaboration. And this kind of goes beyond emails and regular telephone calls, which obviously are kind of part of our regular day-to-day work toolkit. But to really ensure this real human connection that I've been talking about, and this tight collaboration that you would have in a regular person-to-person setting, it needs kind of for different solutions, and this can be teamwork or collaboration solutions, that really have a crucial part in how to enable the connection with the customers, but also within the company itself, and to kind of make sure the employees are connected, and first of all maintain the current workload, but also keep going forward, of course.
So I'm curious directly on that spot. Are there any Corona features in Microsoft Teams in the pipeline that have never been thought of for many years, but now you find them useful?
Of course, I wouldn't call them Corona feature. I would rather call them working from home, because hopefully this ability to work flexibly from home is something that carries on after hopefully this well kind of clears up in the future. And yeah, there's a lot of features that has been introduced. First of all, of course, stability is an important part, because we're in meetings all the time, so we need to make sure the platform is stable and secure, and we can have our business interactions on it. I think a fun thing we are currently using here, and is also implemented in Teams, is like virtual backgrounds, and we even have like a little solution which is called which is kind of a connected mode, where you see all the users in one screen, to kind of have this engagement between the different people. Then there might be things like working from home, where you have a lot of background noise, because the kids are running around, and I've in this times I met so many coworkers' kids, which I find another positive part about this current situation. This kind of development of human interaction between coworkers. I feel like this kind of developed a little bit differently. Anyway, so there is features around filtering out background noise, to kind of be able to make sure that you can focus on the content of the calls, and especially your listeners can focus on your voice rather than the kids screaming in the back.
And if I may add to that, Simone, because I work again for Microsoft as an external advisor, what I notice now, I've been at Microsoft for 15 years, and I went to Google, and now I'm advising them in the US. So what I noticed is they use a lot more the video functionality when they do these internal Microsoft Teams calls. To your point, using filtering, using background images, but also many people just showing the real life they have at home. I think that's really bringing us much, much closer. It's been talked about this also publicly many times, but just seeing my background, knowing this is just who I am, and when I work with my team in the US, and I see a dog or a cat or a child coming in and out, that it makes it so much more human. Also, to the Corona piece, I know that Microsoft is investing a lot in supporting the local communities as well in these times. So they actually collaborate with universities and Johns Hopkins and CDC in the United States, primarily to support research and rapid recovery and all those disaster management things. So most of the large companies are really good citizens today, right? So this over years, many large companies have seen the necessity to really play into the local community. So I would be very cautious these days to call large corporations evil or devil or whatever. It used to be like that 20 years ago, but today it changed. Mm-hmm. They are really good citizens. They work into the social local communities. They invest a lot. And of course, they bring all this technological advancement, which we couldn't do without. So, yeah.
And I think this is this Microsoft Teams, or in general video conferencing adoption in the recent month is a really a good example for how this technology, which was available for years, Skype for Business is available since 2010 or so, and the adoption was very weak in the recent years. So I always needed this telephone dial-in option in my Microsoft Teams meeting to really have all the attendance in my Teams meetings. This is a feature which I do not need anymore, because everyone has the ability to have a mic on their laptop, and this is exactly the thing we need, or we comes along with Corona, that the companies realize that they have a benefit in using these technologies. The starting is the human interaction from home, the remote integration of this team. But this is not the end, because it's then necessary to make this business communication, make contracts with other companies, and so also in a way, or digitize this also, that it's not necessary to sign a contract, for instance, because then you go to the office, print this contract, sign it, send it to your business partner, and so on, and you can. Yes, you can digitize all these things, and I think when we, from the IT perspective, communicate these benefits and make this really, make this real, like Teams or Zoom, for instance, then the adoption will be there for that tools, and it's at the end it's all about connecting humans, connecting businesses, and with AI help to make better decisions in a shorter time. And we saw that already, that it's important to bring these benefits, these technology benefits, together with concrete business problems. And yes, COVID was a real business problem, or is a real business problem, because otherwise you are not able to work anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Thomas. Absolutely, it is a business problem for a lot of people. Obviously, in the chat we can see some discussions going on, and I would love to open the round to the participants. So if you have a specific question, our round is small enough, so if you are bold, you can unmute your microphone and just ask a question to the round, or write it down in the chat and we will read it out for you. So that's your chance to check out on, I think the Robo Boss was interesting for somebody.
I find in my experience that the communication skills that are required through that digital interaction are not so common in the broader staff community. And what are your experiences? Do you feel that we need a different set of communication skills, that we need higher education on conflict resolution and collaboration skills?
Good question. Who wants to jump in with the answer?
I don't really know if there are different communication skills, because I think the communication is merely, or is very similar to the communication we have previously. We have different tools to not only have video conferences, but also to work in virtual whiteboards together or whatever. I think this is a combination of how you can solve things which you have done previously together in one room. How can you do the same things when you work in remote? And I think also in this area, non-IT companies can learn a lot of from IT companies, because as any other IT company, we are able to work remotely from one day to the other. We have all the tools for shared repositories, whiteboards, and so on in place. And okay, a production process cannot be done in a remote way, but all the other things in a traditional company can be done remotely. And I think we need a combination of the normal skills every company have to communicate, to work together, and combine this with the right technology skills to do this in a way where the members are not in one room. And I think this is not that big step. It's more an evolution, not that you need completely different skills.
Yeah. So if I may add to that, so I think a robot as a boss will have better communication skills than people. because they don't have those emotions, and it depends how we program them, right? At the end of the day, it's just bits and bytes. But if programmed properly and not with bad intentions, then they will not yell at you, they will not make you cry, hopefully, they will not make inappropriate jobs. So they will, the robot boss will be objective all the time, hopefully. Again, depending how we program them, right? The other thing is, one of the reasons why people don't really like their bosses is because many times boss and employee have quite different backgrounds and ideas. And so many times the chemistry may not fit. You know, you get a new boss, you just don't like that personality, you just don't like that appearance. You know, it's like a robot would be just a mechanical human being, right? So it will just appear digitally on your screen. So I would also caution you guys from thinking it's a physical robot. It could be just a chat bot on your screen. So it won't be like some mechanical, you know, C3PO that's running around like in science fiction. It's probably more in form of a chatbot on your smartphone that is going to, you have an issue, you call your robot boss, you say, how do I deal with this problem? Or, you know, how should I solve an issue? I think it's such a long way until we get there, but I love just, you know, fantasizing about this thing. And also you could make your robot boss a man or a woman. You can hit on a button and say, I want a man as a boss, or I want a woman as a boss. I want a young hipster, or I want a conservative senior. You know, this month I want to have this boss, and the other month I want to have the other boss. Right? So I would say we need to be extremely broad in how we think about the robot boss, and not really have this idea of the science fiction kind of C3PO coming to you and trying to eat you up. So it's really going to be a piece of software, in my opinion, that you can adapt to your own needs. And I'm telling you guys, this is a great idea for a startup for the future. Right? Esther and Begonia, there you are. Right? And the other thing is, the last thing I want to make is like, you know, how do you make the robot boss and yourself care about each other? You know, there are studies that show that, and there was also in Japan many, many times when speaking of physical robots, if a human being is hitting a robot, or the Spot Mini, you may know the Spot Mini dog, right? That was created by Boston Dynamics, which is a stunning piece of technology, because Spot Mini can be, Spot Mini basically small and big. They can walk, they can open doors, they can walk down the stairs, they can jump. It's just unbelievable the level of technology that is now possible. They can even open a door and keep it open for the next robot to come in and then close it. So imagine that level of programming. But also it has been researched and demonstrated that when such a robot, let's say Spot, is being hit by a human with your foot, the human is gonna feel bad about hitting the robot. It's so this level of emotionality and emotional connection with your robot, and also with your robot boss, you'll be able to create more feeling, more connectivity, and more care between your robot boss and sometimes your human boss, because the human boss will respond in a way you may not like, but the robot, you could actually adapt to what you like, right?
Yeah, interesting insights.
So really, it's in that sense, I'll finish because this is very dear to my heart, this topic. But basically, when you think about robot as a boss, think about personalized, individualized experience, and not about some sort of robot coming into your workspace and making rules for you. You make rules for the robot.
Nice.
That's an interesting topic, and Esther mentioned it in the chat as well, around not only looking at AI, but generally how leadership is developing. And we mentioned the name, the phrase of boss a few times, and there's the thing of boss being like, obviously they're in a hierarchy above you, but the thing is how you interact with your peers, right? So there is kind of this shift from this micromanaging to a kind of coaching approach. And I think this is also part of innovation, of course, kind of the part of the human part of innovation, not only looking at the technology part, but how we ourselves as people can improve and how we can help others improve as well. And this is really an important part in the coaching. And I know we have a session on that as well, I think.
Guys, we could go on forever. I think it's very interesting and very, how to say, makes me feel alive hearing all of your opinions and the good discussions. Unfortunately.
Also so laut würde ich reden, wenn ich jetzt gleich spreche.
Oh, Ludger, du bist
Sorry, Ludger.
too early.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just about trying to close. So we have the coffee and network break in until 3 p.m. So we could leave the session open and we could discuss, but I would like to bring it to a proper end and just give everybody in the round the chance to give a closing statement. Initially, I would have asked you to answer the question, what will be your business in your business area look like in 3 years from now? But if you want to now, you can add the robot boss in this picture. But I would just like to hear your opinions. And let's start right away with Nancy. Why not?
Sure, and I'm sorry, I will have to run after this because I actually have another conference and then another one and another one for tonight. But basically, my whole point about being in AI really lies into kind of my interest for the future, right? And so my interest for the future has always been here. I always worked at the edge of emerging technologies for the last 20-something years. And I've noticed one thing, that you cannot predict the future. So futurologists, for me, have a beautiful job, and I love to see their ideas. But at the end of the day, I would like to go back to a quote by Abraham Lincoln, which basically says the best way to predict your future is to create it. So what we try to do here at Humanize is to create that future by providing this level of connectivity. I'm very happy to be in this group, very, very dynamic group, and really bringing different perspectives and opinions in order to create innovation. So hard to predict, but easier to create. And I'm here to create the future with you guys together. So thank you for having me today. It was a pleasure to be with you.
I love it. Thank you very much for being with us, Nancy. Very, very nice, very insightful. Honored. Simone, it's your turn to go on with the closing round.
All right. So I think going forward, data will be really at the core of it all. And this can be through different kinds of ways. This can be through kind of creating insights to see how we can move forward. This can be, as we discussed, the robot boss, to build intelligence based on that data. But I think this is really the core where our main innovation lies, in this data that gives us these insights. And the second thing that's kind of wrapped around that, and I think is very important, as we have a lot of data, will be more and more, even more than we're seeing now, focus on securing this data as well.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Simone. Thank you for being with us and sharing your thoughts. Nahia, it's your turn.
So to level up what Nancy mentioned, that you cannot actually predict what is happening in 3 years, and the data of Simone, I would say that I would like to end with this thought that, I mean, data is very important, it's becoming more relevant, but can be as biased as the person behind that data. If we want to have a boss, but the boss is biased, it could be a nightmare. So I just want to welcome the people. I think we have like a digital future ahead, and we should bring new different talent to this digital journey. And it's possible. There are a lot of opportunities for everybody.
Great. Let's shape the future. Thank you, Nahia. Thank you. Susan, please give us your prediction of the future.
Difficult, but what I already see is, as Nancy said, what I already see is a lot of self-service AI. So we are not talking about AI and programming. What I see is already that you're sharing software and that you don't need programming skills, really putting together an AI. We will see that much more. And then another topic, I'm not sure about 5 years, but probably in future, and that has to do because I had physics and maths in school. It's about quantum computing, because especially in AI, it's for special problems, and right now it's still like not really in complete production, but that will bring a dimension for especially real-time AI, and AI we are not able to do at the moment because the complexity is too big.
Thank you. So looking forward for the first really running quantum computer to predict. Thank you.
Flying taxis, we had that before. That's one of my favorites for years.
Absolutely. Oh, Thomas, it's your turn.
Yeah, I hope and I predict on the same time that in future we will see that yes, almost all companies are able to cooperate truly digital with their business partners in a very trustworthy way. They integrate machines and can make, based on AI, decisions on an automated and therefore digital way, and they do this, and I think this is important, and we focus this not today in this panel, but this is a second very interesting and important topic. They do this by keeping their so-called digital sovereignty. So they do this on a peer-to-peer basis. They cooperate today in a non-digital way. So I think this digital sovereignty and independence of all the companies is a very important part. So automation, digital collaboration, not only between humans, but also between companies, machines, and humans, and all this in a yes, self-sovereign way. This is, from my point of view, a future which will hopefully becomes real, and so that we do not have such big data aggregation and platform owners that they rule the whole market. This is my hope for the future.
Great. I think that's a very, very nice final word. Thank you very much, Thomas. I'm not sure if my screen has frozen or if I'm still in the meeting.
Well,
no.
You're still there, and yeah, you're showing the sign of the coffee break already, so that's true. As I said, it was so lovely to have you here, and thank you so much for your time and your thoughts and your insight and your huge experience. It was a pleasure. And I think we have to do this bi-weekly, huh? What do you think?
Yeah.
No, it was really, really great, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christian. Excellent moderation, really. Thank you. And Begonia and the team behind and all the panelists. And great to see known faces here. So really, it was great. Thank you very much. I gotta leave, but we'll see you soon.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Stay healthy and
Thank you very much
to all.
for being here.
Bye.